Very well done. Very well done. Sorry.
The best player on the team, according to you. 17.
Congrats, coach. Congrats, coach.
Congrats to the coach. Go. Hold on. Man, give me 1 minute. We made it. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Hey, congrats guys. I see you guys started the game. You guys were sitting behind and let Houston actually attack you guys. Was that how you guys planned to play the game and play on a counter-attack to start the game?
We like to dictate the play, so that wasn't the game plan, but that's the way it worked out in the beginning. So we took what the game gave us, and then eventually we got a goal, and then we started getting control of the game.
I mean, that first goal, I saw you run into space from the midfield. I mean, how do you read the game so good? Because even the second goal, you were all by yourself.
I mean, that goal was just pure energy, and that's just I'm just grateful for all the people that gave us this opportunity. So I made that run on behalf of the ownership and everyone that was able to bring us here. The Cameroonian culture is amazing. We've had an amazing trip, and I'm so happy to be here.
And for those who don't know you, what's your name?
My name is Kyle O'Brien.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Man. We're gonna do it again, man. We're gonna do it again. Man, I love you, guys. I love you, man.
Yeah, so thank you for the energy, coach. As I was saying, the game started in such a way where Houston was actually pressing you guys, right?
Yes.
And the way Houston was pressing, I was like, what's going on? Yes. But you guys were calm. Was that how you planned the game tactically?
Yes, that's how we actually approached this game. We knew that they were going to try to take off us our play. We have Carl, apologies, I'm running out of breath. It's an amazing feeling to go through a tournament without losing a game, or without even drawing any of the games, winning everything with so many goals.
Okay, so take me through that tactical approach.
So,
because you guys sat deep,
yes,
and you were patient.
Tactically, I told them that Houston's going to try to do the same thing that Red Star did. They're going to try to take us off our game. We have Chris, who is very basic and a good dribbler. So when the midfielders, when they knock the ball around, to keep possession, and then they go long to him.
Yeah.
So they didn't want these two guys to get the ball. So that's why we struggled a little bit in the first half. We made some changes. We dropped Tallis to left back because he can move the ball. He's good on the ball.
Yeah.
He can move the ball from the back into the middle of the pitch, and that's going to create some spaces. And that was history.
Congrats, coach.
Thank you.
I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey guys, I think this is number 6. This is number 10. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Tres Cattels? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Now you can hear me. Okay, cool. So we are already live, and good afternoon to those that are already tuned in. Today we're gonna be talking about NVT. We're gonna talk also about Cameroon performances in the qualifications. For those who don't know, you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Man, all right. Well, I go by Tres 14, but my mom gave me the name Harry at birth. But Tres 14 was just a sticker, so it just stuck around. It's a long story. If you're a Russian, you got time, I could tell you the story at another day. But I'm passionate about the community, so I'm kind of like a community activist in sorts. But I'm an entrepreneur. I do a little bit of business here and there. I'm a nurse. I dabble in a lot of things. I'm in that space of IT, so I do a lot of things. I don't know really where to. I'm a utility guy essentially. So I'm one of the people that the brains behind Chicago Veterans, and we've been in the NVT for 5 years as a team. But personally, I've had that experience with Oklahoma and just being a lover of the game. So I've been there. Not at the founding when it started. The first 2 years I wasn't part of it, but as soon as I got involved, knew about it, I just fell in love with the organization, and I fought as best as I can, and I continue to fight to see that it is growing. As we celebrated the 10th anniversary that just passed, it was just for me emotional. It was personal, inspirational to see it. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk. So that's me essentially. I don't really know how to horn exactly, particularly some particular skill. So I'm just all over the place.
Thank you for that. And for those who are already tuned in watching, please go ahead and comment, put your name so that we can actually acknowledge you. So it's actually a community building, as Tres 14 said. Nevertheless, we're going to also talk about the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, because that's what actually holds us together. And we can learn one or two things. Talking about Cameroon, the Cameroon national team. And we were supposed to have a third person. I've not actually heard from him yet, but as soon as he comes on, we're gonna try to connect him, because what we're trying to do here is like have different opinions of those that were actually in Westchester, Ohio this year for the NVT, and that's Dr. T. He's just here. Dr. T, thank you for joining in on the short notice. I was just talking about you and talking about what we are about, building communities, filling gaps. And for those who don't know you, actually, just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, True Lion. Good afternoon, Harry Fawn, aka Tres 14, aka the boy who always speaks the truth. It's good to have you to join you guys this afternoon. So I'm Terence Agbo. I'm from Cameroon, from Cameroon origin, like my fellow brothers here, and I live in Canada. I know today is going to be about the NVT. It's the first one I attended. I heard some background noise, and that is why I thought I could join so that we could have a good conversation, and I can ask these guys some questions, because they do have some very strong opinions, and I've also heard some stronger opinions expressed by others elsewhere. So I thought I'd join just to be the neutral individual. So thank you, True Lion, for the invitation. And know that anytime you invite me, I will always try to be around, and especially when Trace is there.
Okay, thank you for that. So without much ado, I'll give you the stage, because let's try to make this interactive. Let's try to keep this short. All of us actually attended the NVT this year, 2025 in Westchester, Ohio, and we have a different experiences, but there's a talking point. That's why I put on this video, right? There's a major talking point that we want to talk about. So, Dr. T, you in your element, let's be as natural and as communicative as we can be. It's your stage.
Yeah, so thank you again, True Lion. I will start. I know from what I gathered, there are a couple of things that people would like to know there, people are thinking of some changes or some new developments that can be made. So there are threefold that I do understand, and we'll start with the first one. And so the first one is regarding there are some people out there, and Tres had addressed this before in a write-up, but I think maybe it's the right time for him to talk about it. So the first thing I think we should start talking about is there are some people who are advocating for for a name change. I think some people think the name National Veteran Tournament is not appropriate. And so, Tres, I give you the stage, and you and True Lion, but I would like to start with you for your defense of the name. And also, I'll also ask you, because there are some of these things that I don't understand. So maybe you guys can shed light. So why don't you want a name change, and why do you think people are asking for the name to be changed?
Thank you, Dr. C, for jumping on board for such a short notice. Before I get on that, please, guys, go ahead and share the live, because as you share the live in your own network that we generally don't have that space, that connection. So if you're on the live right now, just click the share button so that your own community gets to see the conversation, so a whole lot more people can it's a village network, so that everybody can get to see this conversation and bring their own little contribution into it. So Dr. Tia, you called me a couple of times out there in Westchester. I didn't have the opportunity to see you and have a conversation with you, but we're going to have that conversation now. So I really didn't know about that push for a name change until I saw it live. Asked me to introduce myself. I'm a very pragmatic guy. I'm a very data-driven guy. I like things to be in a position of structure. You have done your research. You've done that.
Let me take off my jacket.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. So you've done your analysis, you've done your research, you've done everything that you need to do, and you're presenting essentially the work to show that this is the why, this is the how, and this is the when. Simple answers that need to be answered. I don't really like conversations that are driven by emotion and passion, right? It's not based on substance, and it's not grounded in reality. The truth is, we can all agree that NVT, that stands for National Veteran Tournament, does not really mean much to anybody. When as a team we go to a hotel, the people are asking us, are we part of the military? Are we? Because it doesn't really tell a story. So that's the truth. So there's the honesty about that. We must admit that the name is not representative of anything African, of anything Cameroonian, not even of anything football. National Veteran Tournament does not even say football in it. So it's a generic name, and that's the mistake that the founding fathers did at the inception. But we are 10 years later today. We have gone 10 years from that original mistake. You cannot just advocate when you've built a brand for 10 years. The average business fails in 5 years. So your length of survivability in America as a business or as an organization is 5 years. After your 5th year, you're usually on a successful ascending trend. The NVT is in its 10th year. To change that brand means you are recreating a new organization. And that's my fear. It's not that there's no validity in the name change. It's just that the people advocating for a name change have not done any research to bring the data and say, this is what we have looked at. This is what the people are clamoring for. These are the risks. We've done a risk assessment, risk mitigation, and this is how it's going to work should we implement this name change. What is the timeline for us to implement the name change? Are we going 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to gradually educate the masses to say, okay, we're going to start changing the name progressively until we get to the point where we can now become a new identity? But they didn't say that. They just came and said, it's nothing about Cameroon. There's no identity. That's just emotion. And once I hear people driven by emotion, I just shut it down. I shut it down as fast as it comes, because there's no thought process in it. There's no logic in it. And there's no plan of execution. And if you know anything about us Cameroonians, is that this is how we execute almost everything. And that's why we fail more than we succeed. Right. And so it's time for us to have people who are critical thinkers, who are analysts, who can go into a room and ask the data. Where's the data? 10 years. Have you done any market research with those women that are selling food, the men selling food, soya, and ask them, if you change this name to Cameroon, whatever, are they still going to recognize that brand? Have you done that research? If you have not, take the time, take 1 year, 2 years, be in Boston. I don't know, maybe Louisiana wins next year. Be in Louisiana, do the analysis. It has to be at least 2-3 years of analysis and research. And then now you present it. And then there's a roadmap on how we follow to change that name. You just don't go from NVT to Cameroon one thing in one season. It cannot work. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I think you've made your points very clear. After a few follow-up questions to that, but before I ask you those questions, I would like to ask True Lion, and probably you also know, but I will ask True Lion, why do you think there are some people there who want the name to change? And I don't know what they want the name. I don't know what they want the new name to be. But let's just talk about why you think they want a name change.
I think the name change is comes as a result of what they actually the complaints they put out there when the finals was being played. They said 9 out of 11 players from Ireland were actually, if not Mexican Americans, white Americans. So it's a question of identity, right? Okay. So I think it was jokingly for the most part. It came as a joke. Maybe some people, jumped on the wave and all that, but it came out as a joke. But I don't want to say anything further because I think Tres 14 has said something that is that is actually very valid.
Yeah. Thank you, True Lion, for that. I think maybe that's one of the reasons, maybe not. I'm sure some of them are listening or watching now, and maybe in future we'll give them the opportunity to present why they think the name should be changed. But Tres, I think you said something which is very important, and I don't want us to spend a lot of time on this subject. I think we have other items that we need to discuss. But you mentioned something that these people have not done any research. How do you know that they haven't done any research? Have you spoken with them? Have you given them the opportunity, just like how we are discussing here, to express themselves, to tell you why they think the name should be changed? I think, on their speaking on their behalf, I don't think you could just say they haven't done any research. They may have done, we don't know that. So why do you think they haven't done any such research?
The onus is on them to present their research. It's not for me to give them an opportunity to change the name. Like I said, I'm a pragmatic guy. The name. Like I said, from the conception, the name was flawed, but we're here today, so I'm not really worried. There are other aspects of NVT that we need to build. That, like Truline is going to highlight on, that we need to build on. That it's not the name. It's like what Jay-Z said, you got 99 problems, the name is not one of them. So there are other aspects. So it's the responsibility or the due diligence is for them to present their package. But I didn't see that in the research, the survey. They released a survey that signed this, what is it? How do you call that? So survey that you need to sign, and about 350 people had already signed the petition, or willing to have a name change. So there was already action in place for a name change with petitions being signed. There was never a forum where we had the conversation. What they should have done, the NVT has a gazillion amount of WhatsApp groups, right? They should have created one, and we have that dialogue in there, have that conversation. They have traction. But the first course of action that they did was create a petition. If enough people sign that petition, then there would be an action, because that's what petitions are for. We cannot just underestimate the power of a petition. Right. So their goal was to hit 500 people. So I don't know who had authorized 500 people, but if the 500 petition signatories were met, then somebody would have to listen to them. But where was the plan? Where was the action? So I can't sign anything that's devoid of logic, devoid of data, devoid of any kind of analysis. So when I saw it, I got triggered and went off.
Okay, I understand your points. Those are very, very fair points. And I hope the initiators or the initiator of that survey, or those who want the name change, are watching, and hopefully one day they could in the nearest future, they could speak with you guys, or they can come here and we have an open discussion. I mean, like, all these things are discussion. We share ideas, and maybe they will be able to convince you. Maybe they have data. Maybe they will be able to convince you for a name change. So I think we've tried that point, at least for the meantime. I think we need to move to the next item, if that's okay with you, True Lion and Tres. Is that okay?
Yes,
Well, I have one more thing to add concerning the petition.
Yes.
I think the petition was actually started by someone that I know, a member, I want to say, from Frisco, Texas. And I had a conversation with them. I asked that question, that have they gone through the normal channels of complaint that NVT has, which is you start from your local club, and then everybody, maybe different, also members from different clubs. You start from your local club, then it moves up the ranks, right? But again, when people are in a crowd and they do things without thinking, as Tres Cato said, it's like a mob action, right? So there's no really thought put behind the actions. And again, they used like the NVT logo in order to go put a petition on a website or on a platform that we don't actually own. So it's like you having a problem in your house, then you take it to the neighbors in order to complain about the problem that you're having in your family. As we say in French, le linge sale se lave dans la famille. So it was just a wrong move, by then.
Okay, thank you.
And Dr. T, if you permit me, let me just add something. It's just humor at this point. It's nothing serious, since Enno just brought up the local team, and he did mention Frisco. All the 48 teams, I don't think that any one of those teams has Cameroon or an identifier of Cameroon in their name. For us, a Chicago veteran.
Yes, you could just hold on a little bit on that, because that's probably the next item we will talk about.
Cool.
If that's okay. Yeah, and so just to clarify here, True Lion, everyone who is a member of the NVT should review the NVT bylaws. There are channels there well defined on how to complain if you have any concerns. So I think it's worth reminding these people. And if you don't know, there are some people that you could gather some information from. I know True Lion is here. Nix is another one. I just forgotten the name of the president, but there are a lot of people where you could gather some of that information before proceeding with a petition. So on the next topic, which is because I know I didn't mention it earlier. I just started with this one so that we trash it. And this is something that Tres, you had also brought up. And True Lion, you also wrote a very exciting and interesting article on it. And this is about the age. So there are some people who are advocating for the age limit to play the tournament to be increased. Currently, it is 35 years. There are some who are asking for it to be raised to 40. True Lion, I know, True Lion, and even Trace, yourself, you have come out and you were swinging. You were actually swinging. I mean, if I stood around, I would have been hit. And True Lion, you as well, you didn't mention that the pace would decrease significantly if the age is altered. So why do you think there are people there? And I know Malik might be watching, and we would like to invite him if he has opportunity to join today or in future. Why do you think people are advocating for an increase in age, and why are you against it? So both of you, I have observed that you really don't want that to be mentioned. So please defend yourself.
Yeah, this is what I can actually say, right? This is what I can actually say, right? Those advocating for a change in age or a limit or an increase on the age to participate are mostly those that don't play, as I've witnessed, And again, we have to take into consideration certain attributes, right? And the reason I say that is because, for those who don't know, I was part of leadership. I was Secretary General for about 3 years, some 3-4 years ago. And one thing I fought against is the number of games that we play over the weekend. 7 games over the weekend. Okay. That's not feasible for I don't know for guys who are over 40, because I have been there. I used to play myself, so I have that experience. The time of recovery, it's usually longer for older guys. We all know that. And I've seen guys get injured because they just go play back to back. So you have to take care of the body. So on one hand, they want to play 7 games a weekend. And on the other hand, they want us to increase the age limit. How is that feasible? Secondly, when you look at the level of play, because there are many different attributes, right? When you look at the level of play, the level of play has increased tremendously over 10 years. Even when I look at 6 years back, those who are saying that there should be an increase because it doesn't look like a veteran, as the same people that I see, because I was around taking videos, cheering in the finals. Now go look at the number of attendants, the population of those who attended the finals, who were actually on the sidelines watching the finals. You will understand that it was pure entertainment. You guys were there. You saw the atmosphere. People were jumping and all that. So the entertainment was there. So why do you want to break something that ain't broke? You see what I'm saying? So that's my argument. For me, increasing the age is not really an argument we should have. You should try to, maybe if you're going to increase the age, then you consequentially you have to reduce the amount of games people play over one weekend.
Yeah, fair points there. So before we proceed, I'm sorry I have to take you guys back a little bit, but True Lion, just you. I know Harry's body is itchy now to to get it. Okay, so don't you think that is why they are asking for a name modification, because they think that age is not a veteran tournament? I do remember, is it one of our sisters, Viviane Ekeme? She was very loud on that. Valerie as well. They really do think that if the age is 35, that low, I'm putting here in parentheses, then it's no longer a veteran tournament.
Well, this is what I'll say, Dr. T. As I said, there are many different attributes that affect why, although we call it a veteran and it's 35 and above, there are so many games. Where have you seen in one weekend, even professionals, in one weekend, you play 7 games in one weekend?
Okay. That's
where have you seen that happen? So the body, so we have to take that into account. The body, the way the body reacts. And I've seen the lifestyle. I'm not saying anything wrong. I've seen the lifestyle of my people, the people my age and all that. Our lifestyles don't permit us to play even 2-3 games over one weekend. So do they want, injured, players over the weekend? Or do we want to make it broader? Because although we say veteran doesn't really mean that we have to take the way, we have to embrace the culture back home, because I know where they're coming from. They say veteran back home is 50, 60. No, we don't live in Cameroon anymore. We live in America. And the way our lifestyles, the way we actually work and all that, it doesn't permit us. And there's nowhere in Cameroon, I bet you there's nowhere in Cameroon where veterans play more than 7 games in one weekend. Okay, so it doesn't make sense. You cannot quote Cameroon and try to bring it over there. It doesn't. The lifestyle over here is totally different.
Yeah, and that is true. I will make my comments at the end. So, Trace, what is your take on those?
I think Eno has said it all. I'm just going to add a little touch on it. There's already a gala game for the 45 and above, right? That's a gala game that's much so an entertainment game. You could go and watch that game as your starting base of where you want the tournament to go. You could look at that game and say, okay, this is, if we change the age, this is what we're going to get. There's already a game. And this is why I say people just don't do their own research. They just talk. They're just emotional. That game is a reflection of what it is that you are advocating for. Go and look at that game and then spread it out now among 28 teams, 32 teams. And then that's the quality. It's going to be even worth that, because these are the best 45-year-olds that we have. Guys that have played at some of the highest level. And some of them, like True Lion said, cannot run up and down. The idea is in the head, you can see, but the execution doesn't come. So it's a fun gala game. Is that what people want? If that's what they want, they should put it in a structured way and say they have looked at those games and this is the level we want to come at. When you put the game at 35, it is bound to be competitive. It is bound to be charged. And we should understand the reason behind the ask for an age change is also because of fraud. We have been known to cheat for no reason. People are sneaking in 28-year-old kids, 30-year-old kids. And that's why some people are advocating that. Let's move it up so that when you see somebody that's 40 or 45, there's no way, right? There's no way that he's going to look like some teenage young boy and the way they're running. So that's the other part, because for absolutely no reason, we want to cheat. Out of Maryland, 8 teams were almost disqualified for cheating, right? And I'm definitely not one to talk, but 8 teams were almost disqualified for cheating. And that's just on the age part of it. If we move that needle, and knowing us, we must admit and say this is who we are. We are going to look for loopholes. We are going to look for ways to game the system. So keep it where it is. This year, 1 team was disqualified for irregularity. 1 team. So we have gone from 8 or so many in Maryland, and we've gone down to 1. I'm a data guy. For me, that's progress. You would admit that we have made progress. And how did we make progress? Because we brought in non-Cameroonians. The moment and the 1 team that was disqualified was the team with the most Cameroonians.
Okay, thank you
very much. You can call me a conspiracy theorist, but hey, it's a flagship team. They had at least a 98% Cameroonian representation. But that was the only 1 team that unfortunately got knocked out for irregularities. Maybe it's conspiracy theory, maybe I don't know. But every other team that brought in foreigners, the Hispanic Americans, Caucasian Americans, African Americans, they didn't have no irregularity problems. So the question begs, should we keep it like that and reduce cheating, or should we make it Cameroonian and have to deal with all the cheating? So I don't know.
That's quite an interesting point you have made there with that correlation. We don't know whether, I mean, it's difficult to deny at this point, but we don't know whether the other teams did not cheat because they had many non-Cameroonian. But again, you have mentioned the correlation there, and it's something to wash out. So on that point, I think I do agree with some of the points that you guys have made. You have to make a compromise here between the quality of football that we want to watch or people want to play, as well as consider the age of the people that are playing the game. We do know that these games are played 3 days, 3 back-to-back games, and every day there is at least, the first day is 2 games, and the older you get, when you play those first 2 games, you really can't recover and be effective the next day, and it only gets worse over time. So I think that compromise there between quality and age is what you guys are talking about, and I totally do.
Eno didn't mention, but after that Friday we got white party. We have this party. Those guys leave the field and go party all night. Come back to the hotel at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and they have a game at 9 a.m. in the morning. The body has rested 2 hours of recovery time. So that's why teams bring foreign players, because those foreign players don't really go to those parties. They stay at the hotel and rest. But we are not going to stay. I'm going to be at the white party, and I want to play the next 3 games.
Yeah, that's another problem there, because if you really don't rest the body, you need both body rest and mental rest, because if you go to that party, even if you did not play the previous day, you are not going to recover because you are not really, you have not rested mentally. And so unless you guys have something else to talk about this age thing, I think based on your arguments, you think you guys do think 35 is appropriate, is there a possibility of a compromise reached between 35 and 40?
For me, no. For me, it doesn't make sense. It's just going up and down. And as I said, what isn't broke,
Don't fix it.
Don't fix it. You know.
But you can improve it.
Well,
You're not
improving
improving
it
it
by
because it's 40.
different ways. I mean, I don't think that age is a problem. It's been there for 10. I mean, we have dwelt over it. I think we're on the right track.
I do agree with you on that, but like I'm asking this question on behalf of those who are advocating. Why do you think they are complaining? Let me put it that way.
He said they wanted to play. That's why they're complaining. Yeah,
Okay.
if you want to play and they put it at 35, you know that it's going to get too competitive and you're not going to have a chance to play, right? So if they put it at 40, you're going to have a chance to play. In Chicago, we have guys who are 50-year-old and 51-year-old still playing, right?
But again, right, Dr. T, can we really just, because I hope we shall get to this conversation, right? Because I'm actually in the background with a lot of guys trying to work out a way where we can actually put some structure in our processes. Because if we are not collecting data, then how do we know if the people that are just complaining are just noisemakers? How do we even know that the percentage of people complaining, if it actually makes sense?
Yeah. And I agree. That is why this discussion you guys are having today is very, very important. And again, I am inviting them. You are inviting them. Harry is here. We are inviting all them to let's have an open discussion. And then maybe from there, some resolutions could be reached. And then you people can forward your suggestion to the NVT. That is just the main objective. I think it's very important to at least not just to brush away what some people are saying, but it's worth listening and having a discussion with them, which is why we have started this discussion today. You agree with me, True Lion and Trace?
Yeah, I do agree with you to a certain extent, right? But again, are those guys using the channels of communication in order to get the complaint to NEC, to NVT, to the leadership of NVT? That's what's more important. Now, we are doing the job of the media, right? We are filling the gaps.
Yes.
We are trying to trigger conversation. We're trying to trigger interactions using these platforms, because that's the only way, we can actually affect change. I hope some people do understand that. But in order to get affect change effectively, we have to use right channels of communication.
Yeah, because you are not the decision makers. Just to put it out there, we are having a discussions. You are not the decision maker. There is a different body which makes the decisions. You are giving them. Unfortunately, you guys, both of you are here. You are at least directing them. Like, don't come complaining to me because I will not change anything. Use the right channel, complain to the right people, and they will listen to you. And maybe your change can be executed at that level.
Yeah, it's not just to complain. It's to do research, bring feedback, bring data that backs your complaint, right? Let it not just be an emotional complaint. Oh, we won 40 years. Let it be backed by something that you can present to people, and people are going to vote and say, yes, there's credibility. You have done some legwork in it. You've put some skin in the game. Do that. For me, as Eno is more diplomatic in his approach. I am not. For me, if it's just emotional, I just shut it down because it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be another rambling. So I don't necessarily disregard of the idea, but put some skin in the game, do some leg work, and then don't just go to NEC with complaints. Come with data to substantiate your idea or complaints or initiative. We should get to that place.
Excellent, Trace, and that's at least you've provided them with what they do need, because data is everything in today's world. If you want results, you need data. If you put garbage in, like they always say in statistics, garbage in, garbage out. So please do your homework, bring your data, present it to the NVT, and hopefully some resolutions positive on your side will be reached at. And so I think this is what Trace has been waiting for. It's I think is the last subject of the day, so that we don't exhaust the full hour. So this is about the non-Cameroonians who are playing in the tournament. There have been a lot of reverberations, True Lion, welcome back, a lot of reverberations about the number of non-Cameroonians who are playing in the tournament. Example, True Lion, you did mention that in the Allen team that won the tournament, there were 9 Cameroonians. And I did hear, I don't know whether this information is accurate, but I think someone did mention that in the finals of the 22 starting players, we only had 5 Cameroonians. So some of them are thinking that there should be a cap on the number of players who are of non-Cameroon origin. Before I put you the question, I must tell you that I did enjoy the tournament. It was very exciting. The finals, I mean, from the knockout stages, the quality of football was outstanding. I must say that. So what do you guys think about the people who are asking for a cap on the number of players who are not of Cameroon origin? Let me put it that way. I don't want to say non-Cameroonians. I'll put it of non-Cameroon origin.
Well, I had an article out there where, first of all, I referred people to go read the bylaws, right? Because most of the people that were complaining are those that have not read the bylaws. Bylaws from 2019 had about, let's say, 5 pages in it, not that many. As the years actually went by, the bylaws was actually increased. The most recent one has 26 pages. And I read the bylaws, I think it's Article 4, if I'm not mistaken. It talks about the inclusion, right, of non-Cameroonian origin members. This is actually the bylaws actually says that there's no discrimination as far as race, religion. I mean, it's disabilities or abilities. I mean, it has a lot, but it
Even gender. Women can
say, yeah, it has nothing that says that you must be of Cameroon origin or you must be Cameroonian. So sometimes when we go out and make these complaints, we should take our time to do some research. Okay. And for those who argue that, okay, if it's like that, let's go ahead and change it in order to have only Cameroon or to have a cap. I will give you an example, right? Because I actually have a relationship with Allen veterans, right? I lived in that area for quite a while. And when we started playing for Allen veterans, believe me or not, back then there were not many Cameroonians that lived in the North Dallas area, right?
Because when you were the keeper and they called you Shilton.
Exactly. You know, I used to play for Allen veterans. So when we'll go, and Allen veterans are just one of the few veteran teams that play or train, let's say at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. So what does that tell you? That tells you that even their culture, you don't really go out on Friday nights to drink and come Saturday morning to get up 7 a.m. in the morning. You don't even watch the EPL. So 7 a.m., 6:30, you want to be one of the first, you know, because you have to be playing. But it's not all Cameroonians. There were not even many Cameroonians. It was just about 5 Cameroonians back then, you know, living up north. So our team was made up of these guys like Hispanic Cameroonians, Hispanic Americans, white Americans. So that was the blended family that I do talk about, you know. And these guys who have been playing with some of these guys, I'm not talking these guys specifically, but the way these guys actually, most of them came to the team is because of the relationships that we do have that we built in the past. So you can't tell me 365 days of football that we play in our blended families. Then when it comes to NVT, we have to put a restriction on who comes to NVT. I mean, that's my argument, you know. So sometimes people have to take a moment and think, because the way NVT, Allen veterans is in Allen, Texas, is not necessarily the way the Chicago veterans is not way they are built over there in Chicago. Maybe they might have a bigger Cameroonian community over there, and they might not need, you know, so-called foreigners, you know. So I mean, we have to take all these things into consideration. That's what I would say.
And Tres, What is your opinion on this, and what do you think is the way forward?
So I wrote about it, and as you said. So um, when this thing started, it was all Cameroonians, right? It was a lot. It started with us, and then people said, the football don't pass we small. Let's go bring Nigerians and Liberians and Ghanaians and Senegalese. There were teams in Atlanta. There was a whole Senegalese team. I played in Maryland against Houston. They were coaching in Yoruba straight up when we played in Maryland. So it was a predominantly Nigerian team. Right. And there are teams in Minnesota that are heavily Liberian teams. Right. So everybody uses their ecosystem, the population that's in that system. Like Eno just said, that in Allen, they're a blended family. They're not going to have 200 Cameroonians that they can pool 23, 24 Cameroonians to go for a tournament. So they're very blended. It makes sense. They're at the border. Okay. So for somewhere like Minnesota, they have a large Liberian community, and they're going to source from that. The problem is when people see all black, they're okay, right? They're okay because they're not asking, are you original Cameroonian? Are you from this? They were okay when we did. The problem is now when non-blacks are coming in, and they're dominating and blowing off. The team won 7 games. They didn't lose a game. They played flawless football. Everybody's enjoying, and people are like, let's break that and go back to our ways. Like, how does that even make sense to anybody? People are happy. The football is good. The tournament has grown. Cheating is at the minimum. There's no fighting. Remember, you watched the finals. There was no interruption. Nobody tried to beat up the ref. Nobody denied a penalty. None of that typical us kind of stuff was happening at this finals. Do you know how many finals are not ending because people want to fight? None of that was in this game. Flawless.
So truly, Tres, if I may ask, historically, when you did not have this many players of non-Cameroon origin, were they always fight because you are trying to make an association?
Not always, but there was always some semblance of disorganization. There was always some semblance of somebody getting into the field because the ref called. You understand? There was something, right? There's a game that was actually decided on almost VAR because the penalty kick, the goalkeeper kept coming out. And when they blow the game, everybody was like chaotic. There are games that they've called police officers, and they showed the recording on the phone that, hey, look, you kept coming up the line. The ref was correct, but it was chaotic. But when we take all of those elements out, we have a beautiful game. Now, I'm not saying
don't you think that I agree with you? I understand, and like I'm picking here because people will say I let you pass with those points. I have to ask you.
And push around.
Yes, yeah. And so don't you think that this is not happening because over time the tournament has improved? Like True Lion mentioned, in 2019, the bylaws were 5 pages. Today, there are 26 pages. So as those things happening, new rules are put in place, and that therefore try to curb those kind of behaviors. Don't you think it's not because of the number of non-Cameroonians? It's just because the rules are more stringent.
Yeah, let me say something, if you don't mind. I don't agree with Harry on that because he's being too harsh. And if you can see, I have also pasted like an all. If you see the refs that I posted, right?
Yes.
I posted earlier. It's an all Cameroonian or all African ref. And the reason that I like that is because I actually advocated for that because I wanted us to grow. Because if you see the amount of African refs, I'm talking even in professional football, we are not well represented. Okay. So now when you see that those guys were well dressed, well represented, we have to applaud NET.
And did a good job, not just
applaud NVT because the game has become cleaner and the refs are actually doing their jobs. So I will actually give NVT thumbs up for that because this was one thing that I actually fought for, and I'm happy that we are actually well represented.
And if I can comment on that, I must say that as an outsider here, the first time to attend the tournament, the referees were outstanding. The lines men or women maintain the line. At some point, there was a linesman that I really appreciated. I shook hands with her, like, man, you are doing a fantastic job, because he was at the spot when he pointed his flag. So that is a significant improvement. So the refereeing overall was very, very good. Of course, as you all know, people are never satisfied with referees, because I did hear some comments that there's a referee who said you guys are not going to progress. I've just forgotten the name of the team they were playing in field, was it field 3 or so? But that's not what we are talking about now. Let Harry answer my question first before we forget. Don't you think that these fights, all the complaints have decreased because of more, the rules are probably more clear? There are many rules now, and there are many penalties for those who break the rules.
The rules are clearer, but the rules are also far-reaching. The rules spread out. When it was just 5, there was also fewer teams. Now there are 48 teams in this one calendar year. We don't know if it's going to roll over. So of course, when an organization grows, the rules have to grow to accommodate that growth, right? So it was not specific to players, or those ones didn't really change much. The rules still stay, like Enos stated, that it's non-racial binding, right? You don't have to be black, you don't have to be white, you have to be Cameroonian. There's nothing that says Cameroonian
The
anywhere.
rules, yes.
So it doesn't even limit gender. It's just that nobody is playing women. It does not forbid women from playing in a team, right? That's how people don't, like Enos said, that we don't know the bylaws, but the team has grown, the organization itself has grown, and so its capacity, its law book has to reflect that growth. So it's not necessarily that it was focused on cleaning up the game. It could just be structurally, insurance, how many players you understand, so many different variation, but the game itself has gotten better. And somebody has to be able to tell me, you are a first-year timer, you love it, and I'm sure next year it would be closer to you, and I'm sure you would free up your calendar.
I will definitely be in Boston. I will definitely
free up your calendar, and you will
my
be
old
there.
place, so I'll be in Boston. I mean,
right, and that's what the NVT does. When you come your first year, it locks you in. You become an avid supporter, and you're like, well, have I missed it for the last 9 years? So
yeah, because you did not invite me.
So when you see that growth, that convinced somebody like you, somebody has to be able to convince me that we're winning new supporters, we're gaining traction. What is the net benefit in rolling back this growth? In terms of player quality, in terms of nationality, in terms of name, in terms of everything, you have to be able to convince me that this would be the extra benefit that is going to keep Terence Agbo right now, Dr. Terence Agbo right now, that has not already won him over.
Yeah. Okay, great. Exciting discussion. We are at 53 minutes now. I thought we shouldn't exceed an hour. True Lion, is there anything else you want us to discuss? But before you answer that question, this is a very good discussion. True Lion and Tres are not the decision makers. They are not the NVT. So if you have any complaints, channel them to the NVT. But I hope the NVT, the executive or the decision makers are also listening to this discussion to know or learn of some of the complaints that people are and discussions people are having out there. And also, if you want to have this discussion, if you want to discuss with Tres, if you want to argue, have a constructive discussion with Tres, please, you are invited to book an appointment. You could find me, you could find Tres, you could find True Lion, who is always shares his 5-minute videos, and book a date with us, and we will ask the same questions so that you could answer them from your own perspective. And so, True Lion, anything else you would like us to talk about in the next 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, before we jump into, well, we were going to talk a little bit about Cameroon in the qualifiers, but before we get there, I'd just like to talk about streamlining our processes, because Trace is talking about data, facts, research. There is no true way to actually do research right now because we don't have the data, right? So what I'm trying to do or trying to affect in the back end with some guys is that we are trying to streamline processes so that teams are able to manage, members 365 days a year, through applications, and that we can actually have exposure of what is actually happening, and we can actually streamline our processes in such a way that we're gonna benefit, in the grand scheme of things. We will be able to have like sponsorship coming, because if we are not managing our teams the way different association manage teams in 2025, then it will become a big problem. Then we shall not grow the way we want to grow. Because, for instance, I was speaking to a member from Arizona, and he said in order for them to travel, he needed about 50 or 56. He needed to buy tickets for 50 or 56 players or members. Each time he had to write or text to the members in order to gather information. Why should we be doing that? Shouldn't we have such information already, like in databases or whatever applications that we use, so that we can just pull that information and use? So it's important that we start streamlining our processes.
Okay, great. Tres, anything else before?
Like I said, for me, there are more pressing things. The NVT doesn't have a website. They have a WordPress website, but they don't have visibility. We're worried about a name when the organization does not have visibility. A simple thing like, how does a club even reach out to the NVT to register and become a member of that organization? So if a team in North Dakota wanted to come into NVT, they don't know nobody. How do they reach out? Can they go to the website and say, click registration, submit this, and the NVT gets all of this information down, process their information, and they start communicating? There's nothing like that. The very basics, the very basic fundamental things we don't have in the back end of the NVT. And we're worried about the bigger things, the highlights, those things that are not going to change right now. It is still in a boys club. You have to know somebody. When I was trying to get it, like Eno said, I called him up because I knew him. I'm like, I want to register Chicago Veteran. And he was a secretary general. And he told me no. He did tell me no. He said he can't do anything. He was trying not to be corrupt, but okay.
Eno is not corrupt. True Lion is a true.
He told me no. But how else was a team? How else was Chicago Veterans supposed to get into the NVT if I didn't pick up the phone and call the secretary general? That's not how things work. And the secretary general told me no. So if I had taken the no and got me away and sat down in my house, we would have never had a team.
So this is what I suggest, Tres, and maybe we could have another discussion on this in future. There are a couple of things that, as we're just discussing, I'm thinking. I know some of these discussions took place, but we could have a combo session, because like how many teams are there in the NVT? I know people have answered that, but you could have all of them together there, and then you could also bring your points of maybe some of the improvements that the NVT can make. And NVT, please just remember, no one is criticizing what you are doing. You guys are doing a fantastic job. But what we think is that, or at least what Harry, True Lion, all of us think is that there is always room for improvement. So don't take any of the comments that are citing we are discussing here in negative fashion. Even if they are negative, extract the sense in the nonsense.
It's really no nonsense, but we need a website though.
Yes, yeah.
Well, there's a website, but as you said, it's not. It could be better. Let's not say
better. That's what I mean.
That's a website.
WordPress page. Yeah, it's a simplistic face.
Yeah, because when you say we need a website, it's as if there's no website. There's a website.
No, there is. NVTusa.org. You can go right now and check it. There is. I was just being more like, it's not at the stage where we are. That's not the website that they do.
I don't think as I explained to you, right, it's not really a problem. We need applications where we can actually manage teams locally, and then that information can be pulled down by NEC. It's applications that we need. Of course, the website is more robust, but the applications now, the data can be pulled up to the website, but we need an application, and we can build applications,
we can.
Where teams. Yeah, of course. I'm actually talking to some guys now in the back end, and that will be done. So it's not something that
I talk to a lot of vendors who want to come and sell at the NVT. Do you know how difficult it is to get a spot? Because again, it still feels like it's a man, no man stuff. You got to know somebody, you got to call somebody. But when these things are put out, you have to just have a click in. You put in your application. We should streamline. People in America, we have to be flawless in our execution. You understand? We cannot do stuff like we're in some difficult place. Streamline the process. Put a simple click. If you want to sell, you put what you want to sell. There are people in the back end that capture that information, and there's a non-partial way of picking vendors.
Yeah,
right.
I think this Tres, you make some interesting points. I don't have the full details on how the NVT is run. I'm like, with that is very interesting. So the NVT will now have to recruit some staff who will be managing, because it's getting bigger. So they need some full-time employees.
No, I wanted to ask you this, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think? Because what do you think about the current structure? This is, for me, a change. I would rather like the NVT to own the tournament and then list the rights to the state. So the NVT still runs the entire show, right? Like the way the World Cup does. You're still sitting on top of it. The receiving team is just an accessory. They just have the stadium. They're not the owners of the tournament. Right now, exclusively, it feels like the team is owning the tournament, and the NVT is just kind of like shadowing, working from behind. What do you think about that setup? Should it change? Is there a need to change, or just leave it the way it is? Because it also puts a lot of money in the team's coffers.
Yeah, it should not change per se, but maybe it can change when we have our processes streamlined. Because I have been inside, I'm looking out from outside in, and I think that we have a lot of work to do at the local levels to give them visibility as far as branding our teams the right way, because I'm trying to do a lot of that work, right? Branding our teams the right way. Then when we have all these processes streamlined, when we can have an application, when we can have a user get in and put out all his information, pay his dues through a single application all around the nation, then we can see where the gaps are. We can see where amendment needs to be made, because we shall have the data that will speak for itself. Now, if we're trying to make changes without data, we can be blindsided.
You know what I think, guys? We are now at 1 hour 2 minutes. If you guys want us to continue, we can. I just think like people will start losing it when we extend the time. But if you want us to discuss further, I'm open.
No, just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes of the Cameroon national team, and we close it down, because that's
right.
That's a topic I want to have.
Yes, yeah, I know you want Harry to talk about that. I personally, okay. So Cameroon is at the risk, almost 75% risk that they may not make it to the World Cup. They went to Cape Verde or Capo Verde and lost. It's something that I have posted on my Facebook a couple of times. You and I have had this discussion. One of the things that I have observed, or just like the data that I have summarized, is that Cameroon has been unable to win away from home, and that's what happened. And probably that's why they are not going to qualify for the World Cup. So what went wrong? Tres, I will start with you. I will leave the last word on this one for True Lion.
Okay, I'm going to leave the match analysis for the expert, who's True Lion. I'm just going to do what I know how to do best, which is just go off a tangent here. This is a country that, this is an organization, Fika Food, that has just lived off of fighting spirit. Lo hemle, lo this. There's no strategy. There's no process. I was talking earlier about streamlining the process. Cameroon exists on fighting spirit. That's not a strategy. That's not an organization. That's not no logic to anything. You have a game that is a must-win game. What processes have you put in place to ensure that you're going to go there and win that game? right? You cannot. We went to Algeria, it was fighting spirit. Every time that Cameroon wins, it's always an approximation that you really never know what's going to happen until the whistle goes off. A country cannot function like that. And there's never, right now, they're not doing any assessment. What went wrong? How do we fix it? Cameroon is sitting fifth in the second best group. So they're actually even outsiders because 4 second teams are going to qualify to go to Oceania to play. I'm going to leave that for Enna to analyze. And they're sitting fifth. There's still a chance. If you're a true Cameroonian like myself, you're still hanging on that, your little Hemley fighting spirit that there's, si le Maroc bat l'Algérie, we are in the C phase, which is typical for us. How do we change? How do we get out of this phase and become a footballing nation? And that's my problem. Any other thing, I'm not really concerned about.
Okay, now so let's talk about the match.
Okay, so I mean, what's the question?
So why did Cameroon lose this game?
Cameroon lost the game because Cape Verde was a better team. I have to acknowledge that, and I have to start by congratulating Cape Verde. When I see the way Cameroon played, I realized that we did not truly have a plan. Starting with Abubakar was a big mistake. And the reason I say that is because Abubakar is old. I think it's 39 or 38. I'm not sure. 40, I'm not sure. But he doesn't have the legs. And you see that Cameroon did not create many opportunities. We had 2 shots on target, which came from a weak header. And then there was another one in the second half. So when you play Abubakar, his movements is not right. He's not energetic. So he's not pulling the central defenders out, right? So he's not creating space for a guy like Mbuemo. If you would have played a guy like Magri or Nasamo, although people will say they don't score. Come on now. What do you mean by they don't score? Was Livramento the guy who scored for Cape Verde? Is he a better player? Where does he play? So you have to give a chance to our strikers to play so that they can get comfortable because it's a mindset and they can actually play as a team. Now, when you look at the press of Cameroon, the press of Cameroon was not actually effective or good enough because you had Abubakar who doesn't have the legs, and then you have Anguissa coming from the midfield trying to press Cape Verde. As soon as Cape Verde saw that Cameroon could not press them, then it became actually a problem for Cameroon, because they were just breaking our defensive lines easily. The second thing that made Cameroon lose is because we had a terrible day at the defense. You had guys like Wu and
Beyomo,
who could not actually win one-to-one battles. Especially Wu. Look at the goal we conceded. It's true, Baliba made a mistake. But that's what we want Baleba to do because he's good at keeping the ball. We want him to keep the ball. He made a mistake. He loses the ball. Instead of Wu creating like a professional foul, he let the guy run.
So do you have any pictures of that guy's run and the number of Cameroon players around it? If you have it, you could share. But if not, that's okay.
No, I don't have that picture. It will be difficult for me to find.
All right,
of course,
that's fine. Yeah, just so that people can see like what you are saying. So. Baleba lost the ball in midfield, and there were at least 3 other Cameroon players who would have done something. Maybe not winning the ball, but like some of the roles of defender is stopping the play. And one way you could stop play is you intervene by playing a foul, and that did not happen.
Yes, of course, he could have caused that a professional foul. He would have taken a yellow card because that was before he actually got a yellow card for trying to fight with another Cape Verde player. So for me, Cameroon lost because of the coach, bad tactical approach of the game. And then when you saw the way the defenders actually lined up, they were breaking, they were spreading. I mean, Boyomo and Wu were spreading when we had the ball, right? And there were too many gaps. The gaps between players was not actually right. So the coach should have seen that, even from the moment that we actually conceded the goal, because the way Cape Verde was playing, the coach should have seen that and said, okay, I don't want my wing backs or my backs, left and right backs, to be climbing too high. Because if you see, even Wu was way beyond our center line.
But you are a big fan of this coach.
Of course. Yeah, I'm a fan of the coach. It doesn't mean I cannot criticize him. He had a bad game. But overall, if Cameroon doesn't go to the World Cup, it's because of what Harry Tres Catos actually said. We don't have a good structure, even when it comes to Cameroon national team, because we had three. Okay, you said that we had 3 games that we drew out of Cameroon.
I don't want you to say if we drew. We have not we have not won a game outside Cameroon. Even no disrespect here to Swaziland or Eswatini. I mean, like, everyone wins there.
No, but I'm saying it is football, right? I cannot say loss, win, or you can say that, but it was a draw, right?
Yes.
We actually had 3 games. That's 6 points. 6 points that we dropped.
Yep.
Against very beatable teams. And why did we drop those points? Is because our processes are not actually in the right place, because we had Fekafood and the ministry fighting together, because we traveled just hours before a game. Now, when you do those things, you put the team in a bind, and if you don't qualify, then it's all on you. For me, I don't have a problem if Cameroon doesn't qualify for the World Cup, because that's what we actually deserve. Football is not only 11 players on the field or 22 players in the team or a coach. Football is about back office. It's about recruitment. It's about how you prepare. Football is a number of things coming together.
It's organization, yeah.
Exactly. It's an organization.
Put together, yeah.
But Dr. T,
yeah,
the female national team did not make the CAF. Cameroon did not make Chan. Cameroon is probably not going to make the World Cup. You cannot focus on one team when the entire system is broken.
So this is what I think to that, and I will summarize it in a few words. You mentioned that there is no structure. Yes, there is no structure, but added to that, there is this squabble between the Ministry of Sports and the federation, which is supposed to be running football, and that is messing up everything. I think that's just a summary. There is a lot of people who are fighting to run the association. I think we have to go back to the drawing board and decide who should run what part of the football in Cameroon. It seems as if that is not well defined, and that is a lot of squabbles, and that is why we are in this situation, in this dire situation. It's even worse now. It has been the case for a very, very long time, but it is terrible and it's deplorable now. And I think Cameroon will never win anything if this continues this way. I don't know what's going on between the Ministry of Sports and Fekafood, but it's not right.
Yeah, I think maybe Cameroon will win. Cameroon can win the African Nations Cup, but it doesn't mean that what will not happen is that we will not get that consistency, right? We can actually win. We have seen Cameroon win with in 2017. Many of the times we have actually won, but we will not have that consistency, because in order to produce consistency in competition, you have to have a system that actually works, right?
Yeah, you need an organization. You need to organize yourself better.
Yeah. And to conclude, there are also some people made some comments, online. I'm not sure why it doesn't show here, but on my Facebook, I can go ahead and read the comments if you
Please do.
Yeah. Chuo Fong he's actually in Louisiana. He's in New Orleans, Louisiana. He was talking, I think Tres Catos made a comment about corruption. Because most of the teams are Cameroonian. The teams in corruption are actually Cameroonian, and this is what he has to say. He said that's a very broad assumption, saying Cameroon teams cheat and others with non-Cameroonians don't. I think you did tackle that, Dr. T.
Tres is my boy, so we do that all the time. So I knew what to ask him so that he clarifies the situation, so that it will not be on me, it will be on him. Yeah. He knows that it will be on him, but if I let it go, it will be on me and him now.
And also, of Rudolph Walter Zidane of the Houston veterans, he said Arlington is made up of Congolese. They speak Lingala on the field. Of course, we've spoken about those things here. And he also says, if we have enough Cameroonians who can play quality soccer, we won't have any reason to bring foreigners. Besides, there has always been foreigners playing these tournaments. Limiting these to Cameroonians will affect the quality of soccer, and some might stop coming to this tournament.
So this is what I prefer to use, but that's just me. I prefer to say people of non-Cameroon origin, because like I don't want anyone to see like foreigners. Come on, all of us, we are already living outside Cameroon in the first place, so by default we are foreigners.
I understand you want to be you want to be correct, but I'm just reading comments.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't know why people even say foreigners in the first place, because we are already foreign. Yeah,
a foreigner in somebody's land.
I mean,
you're restricting.
Yeah, they're just talking in the context of us.
I understand. Yeah, I know. Yes.
Yeah. So Ashubison had this to say. He said, "I think a solution should be to have a cap, e.g., each team to have 5 non-Cameroon players." We spoke about that already.
But did we though? How do you verify who's a non-Cameroonian?
Again, we spoke about that. So
yeah,
I mean,
Trust, you can verify it by. I mean, you did mention that fraud has decreased. So
no, not the fraud. What documentation are you going to
there is an avenue for that. I mean, those who are bringing that point will probably bring their strategy. I don't know how. You and I will probably don't know how. Maybe they might have some ideas, but just like you are asking, it might be a little very challenging.
Yeah. Okay. This is an argument that Rudolph Walters Zidane said against having a cap on Cameroonians. He said having a cap on non-Cameroonians will mess up the tournament. Whoever doesn't have the means to come up with a quality team should stay at home. Before people used to come, he said before people used to come and divide points, teams have been losing 11-0. That's not the case now. And that's
exactly
true. That's true.
So again, we are inviting those people. I know there are a good number of people there who are against some of what this discussion to come here. We'll have this discussion, but also remember that we are True Lion Trace and not the NVT. So in addition to having this open discussion, which I do believe the NVT is also watching and listening, they are collecting some of this data as well. Please do channel your complaints or your ideas to the appropriate, using the right channels to the appropriate quarters.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
any last words?
Yes, I'm going to ask you guys a last word. So I will start with you, Tres, because you are the bad guy. I'll let it end on a good note. So I'll ask you the bad guy first before the diplomatic guy speaks. So Tres.
And I wear that as a badge of honor. I want to be the bad guy.
Of course, I know that.
Because you got to be able to tell people to their face.
You know why I always like to have you.
That's what I was saying. It was not going to be a debate. It was going to be a conversation. But I just wanted to touch on one thing about that you talked about the Ministry of Sport. We don't have a Ministry of Sports in Cameroon. We have a Ministry of Senior Men's Football, because that's the only thing that man concerns himself about. He does not care about anything. He does not care about cycling. He does not care about basketball, volleyball. That's his entire ministry. The only time you hear that Douala, whatever guy, is when they talk about the senior men's national team. So we don't have, the ministry does not have a problem with Fecafoot in essence that it's overall football, because when the women are playing, you never hear him. If the under 20s or men, female are playing, you never hear that guy talk.
I don't even know if you want to go that far. If the local first division or second division league is not taking place, it's none of his business.
Exactly. So it's not a Fecafoot versus ministry argument like you did say. It's the senior men's national team and Fecafoot. That's where the fight is. This fight is not across the board. So he only fights. That's the only coach he appoints. Have you ever heard him talk that he wants to appoint another coach in another place? No. So it's the senior men's national team and Fecafoot. There are other teams, and the entire football structure in Cameroon is as a failed structure right now, right? Chan just finished. I said Chan just finished. Cameroon did not make Chan, right? That should be a problem.
You cannot make something that you don't know how to make,
right? Because where are the players coming from? The players in Senegal and Morocco that are going to play next 2 years are coming from the Chan. And if you're not making players that play in the Chan, then you're not making players. So when we're talking about this player needs to play this, where are they developing those players? So it's a complete failed structure of Fecafoot. The ministry is a beast in itself. It's a complete failed structure too, but they only focus on the senior men's national team. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you very much, Trent. I wouldn't stretch that. I do have my own comment, but we'll talk about that some other time. So to end the show, True Lion.
Yeah, when you look at the structures of Cameroonian football from top to bottom, there's basically no structures, right? We don't have accountability, be it at the ministry or at Fecafoot. I know some people would disagree with me, but that's what I'm saying, okay? Because when I look at our leagues, the only time you hear about Cameroon football is when the national team plays. If the national team is not playing, there's no news coming from the league. The only news coming from Cameroon is Andre Onana. I'm happy he left Manchester United. I put this picture where you see the crowd actually that invaded the pitch when Cape Verde actually beat Cameroon. We had a lot of international press. We had the Daily Mail. We had Bean Sport USA. They were attacking Onana for an incident that happened where he shoved a fan. You cannot see that happen during the EPL, MLS, or any other games here in the diaspora, or I mean in the West. They frown against such action. Why? Because Article number 16 of FIFA frowns against pitch invasion. You can
in insecurity. Basically, we don't even want to call about the frowning. This is insecurity to the players. Anything can happen there because even when a fan runs into the field, they take that as insecurity to the player. So if this kind of a crowd gets into the field, anything can happen.
Exactly, but
that's very dangerous. Yeah,
but we had the foreign press saying that Onana was the aggressor in such a situation. And then some naive fans were actually blaming Onana without even reading, the bylaws. See what FIFA says about such incidents. Now, I frown against such behavior because it's actually putting players in danger.
Yes,
and we should actually acknowledge that, right?
There's a lot of insecurity. Yes,
Onana has been on a witch hunt because he actually, Manchester United, I don't know who they think they are, because when I look at the league last year, they finished number 15.
No, I don't know if it's Manchester United or there is a press, but I think
no, but I've seen a trend, right?
Let's leave Manchester United for another. Let's talk.
He's a fan. He's a fan.
No, I'm talking about. I'm making a comment to finish. So
I understand. Like, I don't want those who are watching there to think that we deviated at the last minute.
This is my opinion. I don't care about those feelings. We are not.
No. I'm talking about the content of the show. The content of the show today is about the NVT, and the last item is about how Cameroon participated. I don't want.
But Onana is part of Cameroon. But that's the blended Onana is an extended family of what happened.
We can talk about the Carlos.
Onana is an ambassador now.
Yes.
No, but he cannot. You cannot.
Talk about a Carlos. We can talk about a Carlos UK press.
No, but
which we know they are. Everyone knows the Daily Mail. All of them. I read a lot of articles and. Disgusting would be quite subtle, but it's quite disappointing. Some of these people do, right? But just like you mentioned, it's witch hunting. It's unfortunate that Manchester United will still be the same with or without Onana. That is how they said about De Gea. I do know a lot of people who say, "Oh, De Gea should leave. De Gea should leave. De Gea should leave." He left. Things have not improved. How many players have left? McTominay went to Italy. Napoli won the league. They used to say, "Oh, the midfield, the famous midfield of McFred. McFred cannot do anything." But then they left. Things have not improved. So I think my suggestion is that take that with a pinch of salt. If the kind of vicious press in the UK, especially against some people, is sometimes disgusting and disappointing, I must say.
Yep. So we can end that
Yeah.
on that note.
Yes,
You
yeah.
actually-
So on that note, thank you everyone for watching. And if you watch this till the end, and if you still want the NVT to change any of those things, the name change, the age limit, as well as the number of players of non-Cameroon origin, please feel free to contact True Lion, and he will give you the forum to have the open discussion. But remember that True Lion cannot make those changes. So forward your suggestions and concerns to the NVT. So you have a good evening, and it was nice talking with
and on
all
that,
of you.
could you just hold on 1 minute?
Yes, sir.
I just want to acknowledge I was going through my phone, and the Gwinnett veterans have a member who actually passed away before the tournament. He was laid to rest today. And if I can actually just share that a moment of silence. Yeah,
And if you have
before
his
we
photo,
actually
you could share it here. So on behalf of the NVT, we express our sincere and heartfelt condolences to his family, but as well as to his immediate family, but also his Gwinnett family, and may his soul rest in peace. So we can take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you, True Lion. And I think you could also share his information. We don't have his name. If you have his
that's
name on the screen,
the
yeah.
final rest of Kevin. His name was Kevin, yeah.
Okay, may his soul rest in peace. And our heart goes to his immediate family, but also his Gwinnett family. So thank you everyone for watching. And Harry, it is good to have these discussions always with you and True Lion. So I think we should do it more often if time permits.
Yeah, we should be always welcoming to diverse
I
opinions.
like your